Hello and welcome to Film Curious. We're back. I don't know, we took like a month hiatus at this point. I really don't know how many weeks it's been, but we don't get paid to do this stuff. So it's whenever we are feeling well and have something to talk about and aren't on trips or working. So it's been a wet, hot Greek mythology summer for the box office.
Yeah.
And that's what we're going to be talking about this week. Before we get into the Odyssey, we'll be talking about, and then we will go into a deep dive on Hadestown because we have all seen it on Broadway and now in the theaters, and so we'll all touch base on that. Pete and I got to see the Odyssey. You got to see the Odyssey opening weekend, right, Pete?
Yeah. I got to see it that Friday or Saturday. And lucky enough in 70 millimeter at the Enzian, which is a local indie theater over here in Central Florida. And so it was loud. Holy shit, that movie's loud. But yeah, yes, got to see it opening weekend.
So then, yeah, I saw it, I guess, last weekend. I can't keep track anymore. But the most recent film we both did get to see, Pete and I, is Spider-Man Brand New Day.
I saw it Sunday night. I actually had tickets for Thursday for opening night, and I just didn't want to go. I was like, you know what? I'm just not really feeling it right now, and I didn't have a whole lot of excitement. I haven't really liked the MCU Spider-Man films. They seem much more interested in telling me about what future MCU films are coming out, and or just have Peter Parker pining over Tony Stark. So I haven't really cared for them very much. I thought Homecoming was, Michael Keaton was the best part of Homecoming. I think Holland is great as Spider-Man, but Michael Keaton was the best at that. But then the fight at the end is just an absolute visual mess of they're on a wing of a plane that's having that's going visually insane itself. So I was like, this isn't fun to watch. And then the one with Gyllenhaal overseas was bad. And the second, I guess, most recent one where they brought back Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield. Homecoming, yeah. Homecoming's the first one. Then it's Far From Home, and then it's Home Away Home, and then it's Far Away Home with Tom Cruise. And yeah, so whatever. Those titles are stupid.
Too Fast, Too Furious.
Yeah. And even that one, I enjoyed Alfred Molina the most. And then I thought the rest of it was fine. You know, it was a lot of people being like, oh my God, they did the meme. And I was like, cool. I don't know.
It was very reliant upon the success of the villains in the original Spider-Man 1 and 2.
Yeah. It was just like, hey, you like those people, right? And I'm like, yeah, I do. So this one I didn't have a lot of, really like high hopes for, quite frankly.
I'm on the same page as you at that.
Yeah.
So
I think if I would have paid more attention, because I really didn't, and if I would have noticed that it was Destin Daniel Cretton who directed it, that may have pointed me in a direction of, oh, okay, because he was the cat behind Shang-Chi. And he was, I think he directed and then also like co-creator of Wonder Man, which I thought was the best thing MCU's done in a while.
Yeah.
But unfortunately for that show, it does not feature a white guy, so we're not going to get any more of those. Even though it's Emmy nominated and this and that, they announced that it was getting renewed, and now they've reneged that, so they couldn't figure out how to make a Blade movie. They made 3 Ant-Man films; they could figure out those. They couldn't figure out how to make a vampire film, because that's just, who could crack that nut? Who could ever come up with a good one on that?
We don't have a lot of vampire movies,
Yeah, no one's ever done it before, so it's weird. But yeah, but that would have probably put me a little more in an area of, oh, okay, let me see what he gets to do over here. So how about you? What was your lead up to not a U2 song, Brand New Day, but I really thought it was
It's a Beautiful Day. Is that the U2 song?
It's a Beautiful Day. Remember when Apple just decided to put a fucking U2 album on all of our phones?
I do remember that.
What a weird day that was. I'm sorry. Yeah. So were you like excited? You said you weren't very, right?
No, I haven't been a huge fan of the new, and it's not because, again, I'm on the same page as you. It has nothing really to do with Tom Holland. It's more like that all they give him to do is being a kid. They're like, this Spider-Man's young. Do you remember?
Did you know he's young?
He's young, right?
I refer to Empire Strikes Back as that movie from the 80s. Like, why wouldn't you just know what it's called? Like, what's this stupid, weird thing? Like, they have him buy a $300, or Ned buys like a $300 Lego set of the Death Star, but they don't know what the fuck the name of the Empire Strikes Back is.
Well, he learned by his time in MIT. One of the things he was taught.
What a strange way of being like, he's a kid. You get it? I'm like, yeah, I fucking get it.
Yeah. So
this is the first movie where he feels like he's not 15, which is great.
And I really appreciate that. But no, I wasn't like ready to run to the theater. Hearing that the good stuff of it, hearing about the Destin Daniels stuff, I was like, oh, okay, this is probably, no matter what, I was gonna get my ass in the seat. Like the rest of America, apparently, we're going to sit down and watch a Spider-Man movie. Like, people go to the theater for Spider-Man.
Like, quality of the movie aside, whether you thought it was great or you thought it was okay or whatever, who the hell would have thought that this is the movie that would have earned more than Endgame?
Yeah, that is wild.
It's such a strange... I guess people were just desperate for it because I don't.
And a Spider-Man. It's like, I think you get like a bump.
Spider-Man.
There's an automatic bump for a Spider-Man movie. It's like Knicks for clicks, where like the Knicks get extra news and media. Like, it's the same like a Spider-Man. Like, people go see a Spider-Man movie.
How much? What was that last one with everybody and their mother in it? What was that called? Spider-Man: No Way Home.
Oh yeah, No Way Home. There you go.
How much did that make? Because that was like. That was a big build-up. Like, people were really excited about that. I mean, that made $1.92 billion. So, like, it made a ton. It made $1 billion overseas. It actually made more money overseas than it did domestically.
Spider-Man's a beloved character.
Spider-Man.
So, yeah, I was going to see it no matter what. The hearing all the good things made me more hopeful. The trailers didn't make me hopeful.
No.
The trailers, I was like, oh no, we're getting another young Spider-Man. And now he's acting like Deadpool. Like, the 2 clips they used in the trailers, he was acting like Deadpool.
Oh.
And there's two spots that it happens in the movie towards the end that he has like those weird like Deadpool-esque bits.
I don't know which ones you're referring to.
I'll say it because he was in the trailer. Like, he's stretching before he's like, old now, I gotta stretch. And he's like doing the yoga and everything.
But I mean, like, and then Spider-Man's always kind of, he's a quippy motherfucker.
He's quippy, but he's not, it's a clever, witty quip. It's not like a Deadpool whole, let me go into this whole bit before I start fighting. So, like,
quips
I don't know.
For flips.
That was a little bit of a turnoff, and I don't know. The trailers for me just were signaling it's going to be more of the same. Luckily, those were only the spots where it was more of the same. There's like just two little spots that it was more of the same. But they had to hit the reset button to get Spider-Man, I feel, to be the Spider-Man that people legitimately enjoy or is closer to the character that we know.
I think a lot of people are actually unaware that this is normally where Spider-Man is, because a lot of people grew up with these movies being their Spider-Man, right?
Yeah,
so,
that's true.
If that was what you grew up with, because I remember when the first trailer came out, I saw a number of people, they were like, oh, this looks depressing. I was like, yeah, it looks like Spider-Man.
Yeah.
Like Spider-Man is...
The struggle. It's real.
Yeah, Spider-Man is genuinely like always in the worst space possible. When things are going well, you as a reader, as a fan, are like, oh no. Because
drop?
Yeah, like the light at the end of the tunnel is a is a freight train. Like it's not the exit. So I think that was an interesting thing to do. But they also had to, in the trailers, which I think I only watched like the first one. There's a lot, obviously, in this movie that they weren't going to show you at all.
Yeah.
Because, and look, this is out. There's been Variety articles about it now with them talking about it. So spoilers on the movie that already made like $1.4 billion. This is our first really big foray into, hey, mutants are here.
Yeah.
With us learning that the one redheaded actress that they've hired in a very long time is Jean Grey. Which here's the thing on that. I don't read any like rumor sites. I don't go to any of those sites. It just doesn't interest me. I knew she was in the movie, and that was it. And so when I went into the film and I sat down, I had no idea what she was going to be. And then the villain showed up. In big quotes, the villain shows up. And I was like, oh, well, that seems like telepathy of some sort. And there's a really young redheaded actress in this film that I magically am not seeing right now. I was like, oh, okay, I guess she's Jean. And yeah, it shows that that's a pretty wild thing. But so this is actually my question to you. My overall on the movie was, man, those first two acts, I loved them. When I watched it in the theater, the third act, where we get into the Jean stuff, I was like, okay, now we're just like, hey, wait till next movies. And we really sidetracked for like 20 minutes away from Parker. As I've gotten further away from the film since seeing it, I don't mind as much. Because I think it was more balanced than I was giving it credit for in the moment, just because my knee-jerk reaction, because they've done it so many times, was like, oh, great, we're going to have another like hot tub Thor bullshit thing, which is going to mean nothing to me. And then, in 15 months, I'll be like, oh, remember that one scene? So, but I've like softened on it and been like okay with it since then. What was your reaction to that?
It did feel, I know exactly what you're talking about. It did feel like two different movies and three different solid parts. Like you definitely can identify, like part 1, part 2, part 3, and then maybe even part 4 to like bring Jean's story back into Spider-Man's story. But I really liked the Jean story, and I was like, oh, I'm excited. I'm like, if you're gonna do this, if we're getting the X-Men again, and it was like the first time in a very long time where I was like confident in how they might handle it and how they might tell the story, because I was really moved by how they told Jean Grey's part of the story. Like again, spoilers. Her scene
Zendaya is Jean Grey the whole time.
Aunt May, her scene with Aunt May, like totally moved me to the point of almost tears. So
which also
like,
is a. I'm so sorry.
Go ahead.
That was a bit of like a circus trick to me, because initially my brain reacted of like, are we going to do the power and responsibility speech again? And we kind of did, but I was like,
in her own
no,
way.
this is working. Yeah,
well,
like,
they
because it was towards her.
Yeah, like, and they gave like Aunt May the Uncle Ben thing, but her own thing, like it was her own unique speech. It wasn't just with great power comes great responsibility. They gave her Aunt May her own thing. And I thought it was really working. And so it was hitting on an emotional level that I feel like Marvel doesn't like to touch on in the movies like that we've had before. Like there's very few times that we go like deep and dark into things that hurt.
So I would agree with you up until I guess a year ago or something. Thunderbolts went fucking headfirst into that.
It did. But my thing with Thunderbolts is it almost felt like
too much women. You don't like women doing that. Yeah.
Yes. You know what? Screw Florence Pugh. Speaking of which, no, she's in fact a gem every time she gets on screen in this movie. It is
so great.
Hilarious and amazing. Yeah. And I love it. She's like an extra character thrown in that I'm like, yeah, sure, throw her in. I love it.
Yeah.
It's great.
She's like Q Branch almost. But yes, I'm
But-
sorry. You're saying
Yeah.
so.
But Thunderbolts felt almost a little like somebody like trying to tackle mental health and illness, but like not really wanting to really touch it for me. But like Jean
Okay.
Grey, I feel like they like we're going for it. We're just going to sit with it, you know. I didn't know if I really felt that way about Thunderbolts.
Okay.
I felt like they wanted to skim the surface while still keeping it light and funny and like, you know, like they tried to go there, but they
they literally go into his mind and you see like his abuse, but
I haven't watched it a second time. I haven't watched it a second time, but
all right, don't worry. That's a side thing.
I just remember not being like, this seems like somebody who like is writing about mental illness, but doesn't really want to tackle this dude's legitimate mental illness. But I don't know. Nicole, did you see Thunderbolts?
I did, yeah. I mean, I remember that we did have that conversation after we saw it that I really liked it, but we were both like, it maybe felt like baby's first mental illness kind of introduction, but like not in a bad way. But I also think that there maybe is like a point at which I don't know how much deeper I would have expected them to go with it.
Yeah. No,
as you're pointing out, like something like that, or if I think of something like Moon Knight and how far they go with that and like his kind of backstory, like I don't think that for a Marvel movie I would expect it to be. So I'm interested because I didn't see the movie, so I am curious now to see exactly what the handling of Jean Grey is like. Because Thunderbolts, I was surprised by how much they went into it, but actually I agree with you. I understand that I think they were setting it up as something that like most audiences could understand and relate to. Of like, we've all been through trauma. We're not going to leave you behind. We can heal from it. That kind of thing. But Thunderbolts did really well. And I think that probably was why. That it felt like it was a little deeper than the usual thing.
And is that the director who's doing X-Men?
Sure.
Because I think we're finally moving past, like the Russo era of this
get one
shit.
big finale. Bring them all back. All right, huge paychecks for them all.
We've got so many ideas. We're just going to bring everyone back. Okay, let's back to Jean. Let's get back to her.
But yeah, okay. So I felt the handling was really emotionally impactful and nicely done. So I don't think it really bothered me, and I liked the part 1 and 2. So like I loved all the Spider-Man stuff. This was the Spider-Man that I love, like the more towards the original Raimi movies and the comics. And so I think, yes, I could totally see what you're saying, that it goes off into another movie basically for a little bit. But I think it comes back in a fairly cohesive way. And and it made me excited to see the X-Men, see what they do with the X-Men. And if you asked me that like a year ago or 2 years ago, I'd be like, nah, I'm not really interested in seeing like what they're going to do going forward. But now I am.
And for Parker, for the actual movie and not just that portion of it, there's some really good moments for him. There's a lot of good moments with Frank, with Punisher, which was nice to get to see Berthol do a little more than just be like, fucking Red, what are you thinking, bro? He got to do that, of course, but we got to get a little more into it. It was nice to see him in a actual big screen. It's sort of what I wish we would get with Daredevil one of these days. And Spider-Man is the character where that would happen, but I'm not sure if they're ever going to pull that trigger. We'll see. I really liked the yearning stuff is always fun. And the way that he reconnects with Ned is real good, because it kind of lets you know that there's these physical moments that will stay even though your quote unquote memory has been wiped out, or whatever the exact definition of what happened in the other film was. Yeah, like that's still there and that triggers it back in. Kind of actually reminded me of Lost. There's in like the last episode of Lost, they were never in a purgatory on the island, but they are in a sort of purgatory when they're back in the real world, and none of the people, they don't recognize each other. But when they share a moment or like make physical contact with the other, this flood of memories comes back. And then they're like, oh my God, you know, they remember everything. So it was kind of like that. They could use that actually. I wonder if he just straight up lifted that from Lost. But it was effective. I thought it was effective. I liked the fight, the choreography, especially at the end when he fights the hand, which was cool to see because we haven't really got to see the hand, even though we have a Daredevil series. We got to see the hand a little bit, but not as much. Which also, by the way, I saw a lot of people posting like, oh my God, the hand. Why are they ripping off Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles? Guys, that happened the other way around. The foot was taken from Spider-Man comics, from the hand, from Marvel. And they called it the foot. It was a joke in that. So it's not that this Spider-Man film stole it from Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. That is a thing that happened long time ago, and it's Ninja Turtles that used it as like a parody, of what they saw in Marvel. So that was fun. Oh, he does kind of get over his problem from one moment to the next. During that last fight sequence, there's not really much of a buildup of him accepting that he can be Spider-Man and Peter Parker. He just sort of figures it out, like in the moment in that last film. But when I rewatch it, I'll see if it pokes its head in a little bit more. But man, he seems real
confident in it after he's been suppressing it for.
Yeah, it's a
the whole movie.
1-2, and that's it. He's fine. A rare moment of, I think, incredible restraint was shown in the movie. This is in regards to Jean. We all see her at the end. She's on a bus. She's going upstate. There's no way that any Marvel fan is not like, we know what's upstate New York. Buffalo. Yeah. No, it's like, we know what's upstate. And someone must have wanted to push the button of, and we want to hear a voice say Jean, and sound maybe British-ish if I was an older, bald British man who had mental powers. And they don't. And I was actually impressed by them not doing that.
Or you don't see the school plaque or anything, nothing.
Yeah.
No shot of the mansion or anything like that.
She driving up the road, there's just, for some reason, there's a sign that's just a massive X.
Welcome.
Or some shit. Or someone gets on the bus and they're like, here's my money, bub. Or,
Right.
I feel like there's a lot of areas where that would have happened. And it didn't
Or they
happen
put it in
here,
a post-credit scene, too. They restrained
yeah,
themselves
that's
for
what
the most
I was
part
fully
with
expecting
this
that.
Credit. I mean, there was a post-credits, but
there was.
wasn't
And I mean,
anything
that's
crazy.
Secret Wars, you would think, since that is coming
That's
around the bend.
That's what that was.
But yeah, I enjoyed this one. I gave it like on Letterboxd, I gave it a 4. I would say like it's like an 83, 85. But maybe on future watches, it would go higher. Like it's really, it was a good one. It was a really good one. And I felt good. It felt nice to see Holland not have to just be, oh, Mr. Stark. He didn't have to do that the whole time. That must have been
refreshing.
great for him. He must have had so much fun, like not having to do that after a certain time.
Yeah.
So, yeah, cool.
I
who would have thought?
I think I would have enjoyed it more if this had almost been like a payoff type movie of, like if we were getting, a 1 and 2 original type Spider-Mans, and then this was the third one, right?
Mm-hmm.
If you're following what I'm saying, like if we forget the first 4 Holland Spider-Mans.
Well, you need the third one though.
You do, because you have to hit the reset button. But what I'm saying is, if you took like 1 and 2 of, I know totally different, Mary Jane's and all that, and there's Harry and all, but I'm just like, but I'm saying if the character was closer to the Spider-Man that we know, and you didn't have to hit the reset button, right? And we had like a 1 and 2 that were building to this 3, I think I would have really been like, oh, phenomenal. You know, like I would have felt like this Spider-Man's moment was really well earned, needed. I mean, it was really needed because it was a reset, basically, and they did bring it up. You know what I'm saying?
You keep saying reset. I don't think they view that as a reset. Because if this was the way that people were introduced to Spider-Man, that would be weird. Because I'm not
talking about an origin story.
I know, but
okay.
like I only think that this matters. I think that I think one of the reasons that this works so well for me is because I've seen so much of that other version of Parker who's very childlike. And so seeing that change over to this makes me actually see an arc now. I would skip the Gyllenhaal film, but like if I watch Homecoming, Endgame, throw that in there, right? Homecoming, Infinity War, Endgame, and then the Everyone's Here, last one, and then this, I would be like, oh, we now have an arc that I can actually look at. So I don't really know for me, I don't think it's a reset. I just think it was a
recalibration.
It was a way to fast forward the tape to get it to be yes. we have to get this guy into a spot where not to bring up like a sad thing, you don't have Black Panther anymore. Right now, I know he's coming. They finally casted him, which there's another comment that you can make about that because Ryan Coogler. No, I'm sorry. Actually, Feige said it himself. He was like, Ryan Coogler called me and he's like, I found the guy. And this is, me as like quoting Feige. He's like, we didn't even start looking yet. How the fuck did you not even start looking yet? Kind of seems like you weren't that interested in looking if you haven't even started looking yet. So if Coogler didn't go out and do that, how long is it until there's another Black Panther film?
Well, so anyways, I just think we know they don't have a plan. I mean, they never had a plan for this second.
Admittedly,
phase.
They never usually. They say that they say like
they don't.
Can't plan. But they also lost that plan because Boseman was Chadwick Boseman was going to be the center stage next to Larson. And he passed away, and there's not enough interest. And I don't think Brie Larson's interested in it anymore. I wonder if she's even in Doomsday. But you have Spider-Man, and he is essentially like next to Superman and Batman. Those are the three most famous superheroes of all time. So I don't want a kid being in the lead of that team. Like if they're going to do a new Avengers thing, like a real technically new Avengers, that's Spider-Man. Like he could be in that. There's been times where he's been part of the Avengers, and in this universe that might fit a little more than normal. So I think it was a good like, hey, let's let these people grow up because we got to start letting them sort of be at the front of this a little bit more. Maybe I guess we'll see because Secret Wars is going to have a whole lot of Spider-Man. Whole lot of important Spider-Man shit happen. Yeah,
like,
and that's the thing. Like now I feel like
you know what you're saying. Yeah, like now I feel after this film, I go, okay, good. Well, I did think for a moment, that they were going to kill this Tom Holland Spider-Man off, and like when he gets shot, and I was like, oh well, that's where I was like, they're not going to do it. Are they going to do it? I don't know. They finally got him right. I was like, are they going to bring in Miles now? Like, what's happening here?
They've already said that. Holland even said that. He's like, we have a plan that I will be handing this off to somebody else. Here, there was a funny thought that went through my head though, because I remember when like that really terrible last Star Wars film came out, The Rise of Skywalker, and there was a black female woman, and it was like, of course, it's Lando's daughter. Because there can only be like two families or two groups of black people in this entire universe, right? When we met the newly introduced, who she's been in the comics, but I forget her name, but the deputy sheriff, I don't know what we call cops nowadays, the female cop.
Oh, okay, who's also in the Bear.
From the Bear, from the Bear. Yeah. And I was like, oh God, did they just introduce their Latina so they can have someone who's related to Miles? And I swear to God, if that winds up being what it is, it's
one of the kids that they showed.
It's no, not one of the kids. It'll be like her cousin or some shit, or like her nephew. Like it'll be
was
her
it the
nephew
kid on the
also.
shoulders that we find out that the kid on the shoulders that's waving to him at the hospital?
No, I actually really do. I wouldn't be surprised if we wind up finding out that maybe she has a sister and one of her kids is the Prowler, is Donald Glover, who we saw back in Homecoming, and we haven't seen him since.
Oh, yeah.
Because that's where you get to Miles, really, through the Spider-Verse. But I was very, like, my brain said, did they just introduce a Latina? Because they were like, we got to get Miles in here. Like, so I hope that's not the case, but whatever. If it is, I wouldn't be too surprised. I don't know how you do Miles in a way that anyone gives a shit about and finds compelling after how good those first two Sony films, the animated, have been.
Yeah.
That's a tough hill to climb, because we're not talking about like, oh, there'll be a decade in between these two characters. There'll be like a couple of years and that's it. Like maybe 2-3 years. But who knows? Because also, and we got to get off this movie because we've been on for too long. One of the other things, that's like a final note, take note of how young Sadie Sink is, and take note of the other actors that have been rumored to be, cast as other X-Men. This is not a one and done thing. They are looking at a decade's worth, 15 years worth of movies to come out of this crop, out of the X-Men. So I think you can. Sounds weird to say this, but I think you can put a lot of the other Marvel characters aside. We ain't going to see them anymore. This is going to be X-Men land.
That's okay with me.
I'm totally okay.
I'm good.
Yeah, no, but like people have to understand that and move the fuck on, because they can only do Doomsday so many times.
I can't believe they're doing Doomsday.
I can. Really... You see how excited people are about it?
No, I actually haven't seen what the discourse is.
They're out of their minds. These movies are sold out. Because they see people that they knew before. It doesn't matter, bro. Captain America's back, bro. Did you see him? But it's not really him. It's a clone. It's a robot. And it's really going to be Mephisto. We don't even care
if RDJ ever takes his even. Doom, how do you take the mask off? Doesn't matter. Put a mask on him. It's still RDJ.
Yeah, no, that was a really nice thing actually about this movie that I like, and I haven't heard a lot of people talk about. There's so much more of Spider-Man talking with the fucking mask on than there's ever been before. Yeah. Because Christ, they cannot stop every 2 seconds. Oh, I better take this thing off. Bro, I know it's Tom Holland. I like Tom Holland. He seems like a wonderful dude. He's a pretty good actor. I do not give a shit to see his face as Spider-Man so much. I want to see Spider-Man. I want to see the name of the fucking character in the movie. So keep your goddamn mask on.
You feel the opposite about the Mandalorian with the Spider-Man.
Yeah.
Keep the mask on.
Absolutely.
Mandalorian.
You want to know why? Because also
off.
Spider-Man talks in more tone of voice than this.
Yes.
Imagine Spider-Man only said things like this.
It's true.
That you would hate it.
You wouldn't get much character from him.
Anyways.
But
Marvel.
It's good. It's good. I'm excited. I liked it. I'm excited for the X-Men based on the Jean Grey story that they started. I'm excited even for Spider-Man. So, what's up?
Also, just a weird visual thing that happens in the movie. And I was like, I wonder why you would make that choice. Her sister, she has that headband, which they focus on. Man, those are Rogue's colors. I thought that was I'm like, I had to stop and be like, wait, was there like a version where there were sisters? But no, I had to look it up.
See if it's one of like the alternate timelines. I just thought it was interesting. X-Men.
I don't know. Yeah, it was like Claremont must have done that shit somewhere, but no.
X-Men does the they'll have like parallel different universes going on, right? So you can have multiple X-Men
can get really fucking complicated.
Canon, like it's not like Batman where it's like you got to follow the canon of Batman's,
Oh man, what I would love though if they didn't, and we just got a Batman Red Rain film where he fights Dracula. Fuck me, that is such a great comic.
That does sound really good. I would have to read that.
Yeah, Red Rain is fantastic. There's like a trilogy. I think Red Rain is the first one, and Bloodstorm, and then something else was the third one. Yeah, check those out if you haven't. They're very good Elseverse books. Well, hey, why don't we talk about Tom Holland some more?
Let's segue, yeah, because we could. I think Pete and I could probably talk about some comics and go on and on about Marvel and comics and all that different stuff. So yeah, Tom Holland, the man of the hour, was also in the Odyssey, playing young again.
Yeah. Hey, Dad. Come on, fuck me. Yeah, he really does, doesn't he?
Yeah, but I think he's supposed to be like 19 or 18 or something in that role. So
Danny Zuko was in high school, so
I don't believe the Anne Hathaway 18-year-old kid Tom Holland dynamic, I'll be honest. I wasn't sold that Anne Hathaway was old enough to be his mother. Did not. I mean,
she still looks like she's 25.
Yeah, it's a little tough.
She looks incredible still.
But I was not.
Matt Damon must be just like moving mountains in his fucking spare time. Dude's ripped.
He's very jacked. Yes. Yeah. But I didn't get to see it a second time, and I actually was surprised at myself that I wanted to see it a second time. Because I really enjoyed like the technical aspect of it. I thought it was all gorgeous and well done. For me, there's a little bit of heart missing at certain times.
Absolutely.
So I feel like the first time around I was experiencing just taking in the experience because I really wasn't very hard on it. So that's why I kind of want a second viewing.
Jesus, Ash.
So
calm down. It's a family show.
So that I can figure out how much the lack of heart or the lack of certain like character development bothers me.
All right, so I think first off, this could have been a 2-part film, 2 hours each. I think I would have been kind of cool. I would have loved to have seen do that. Maybe that. Because the pace, you go so many places.
Yeah.
Almost as if one were on an Odyssey. But you go through so many places and so many sequences. And it's very loud. And it's a lot of action. But when that movie stops and slows down, those are the best parts. For me, those are the best parts. When Odysseus goes into Circe's hut, played by Samantha
one of my
Morton.
Favorite ones, yeah, Samantha.
Put
Morton,
that.
phenomenal performance.
She's. Number one, throw a statue at her right now. I don't want to fucking hear anything. She deserves it. That was incredible. That sequence when she's talking with him. The Hades sequence, probably my favorite of the whole film. Again, just 2 people talking or 3 people, a couple of people, but just talking. Mm-hmm. And you're able to just focus in on that. And that's it. Those are my 2 favorite scenes in the whole film. And I had put a post up about this. This is something that Nolan actually does so extremely well, but we don't get it as much as you. There's so much bombastic and other wild shit going on that it doesn't get lost in the mix, but it's by far the minority of it, right? When you think of Dark Knight, I think most people think of the interrogation scene with Batman and Joker. Again, just 2 people talking. When you think of Interstellar, it's when McConaughey is watching the video of his daughter and his son. Again, quiet. Him just watching and one person talking. There's so many great moments like that in these Nolan films. And I think the other stuff can become so much that it's easy to overlook it. But I try not to overlook that stuff. And it winds up being my favorite spots. John Leguizamo was fantastic. I wouldn't be surprised if he gets nominated for Best Supporting Actor and whatever the hell month it is and whatever the hell month that all happens. There's Pattinson's a phenomenal piece of shit. Like he's hateable. He's so great. Yeah. I would have liked to have gotten even more of him. Like I understood where he was coming from, but there were certain scenes where I was like, wait, should I be rooting for this cat? Because they show like a flashback, and Odysseus does say to him, like, look over and protect everyone. And he's like, very well. And, like, maybe he takes it too far, obviously, but I really enjoyed the film. I'm looking forward to watching it again. But yeah, there's a little bit of emotional that I just didn't get into, but I find that happens a lot sometimes in Nolan films. It's kind of like Stanley Kubrick, where I'm watching this movie and I'm like, holy shit, but I don't actually really care about anybody.
Yes.
Like, I don't really care if Shelley Duvall lives. Like, I love Shelley Duvall. I don't want to see Shelley Duvall die. But, like, the wife in The Shining, don't really care if she dies. The kid, absolutely don't care if he dies. But I love watching that movie. Interstellar does it really well. Prestige, he did it really well in. Again, quieter movie. A lot of just dialogue scenes. This one, though, I didn't really... I thought it was that... Plum, when he does that at the end and he's in the throne room and they have that big throwdown in the palace. That was really great. And it's been a while since I heard a crowd cheer for a character's death. But when Corey Hawkins takes an arrow in the face, like without even getting out the line, that's Odysseus. People cheered. But that's another one, like, I would have liked more of Corey. I feel Hawkins and Pattinson were underutilized, and I could have used more time with them.
If we talk about underutilized, Lupita Nyong'o.
Charlize Theron.
And Charlize Theron.
Oh yeah.
Lupita
Nyong'o, she's barely there. Charlize Theron is barely there. I would have never left that island. Just stay at that island. She, though, actually, more than anybody, I was like, man, I almost wanted to like experience their good times together, and we didn't really get to see it.
We didn't get. He's there for supposed to be there for like 11 years or 7 years,
something like that. Yeah,
I think, and
that's where I feel like maybe the 2-parter really would have been wild to see.
It could. I don't know. Honestly, though, I don't know if 2 parts would have worked for Nolan's adaptation, because this isn't. I'm looking at it this way. I read the Odyssey back in like AP English or something like that back in like senior year of high school. So I don't have exact memories of it, but this is Nolan's adaptation. This isn't the Odyssey. Like, this is for sure his version of Odysseus and his own story that he's telling. If you look at it in comparison to what the Odyssey is, this isn't it. This is like, it doesn't go as far as like Wuthering Heights version extremes of like what Emerald Fennell did of like my own telling and imagining, of Wuthering Heights. Like, no, it's not that extreme, but this is Nolan's very specific. He's grappling with Odysseus's guilt and grief, and so we don't get a cleverer, more fun Odysseus that is like the version that we know in the epic poem. So I think if you look at it that way, it's a little bit easier to digest if you're not like making the comparison. That's what I'd say about that.
Okay, yeah, no, I can see that. Yeah, I mean, we just focus on a man who has thought for all his life, like what he was doing was for the greater good. And then has that moment of, wait, what am I actually accomplishing here? And I don't want to. And I'd rather be gone than ever have to, look upon the ruin that I'm unintentionally bringing, that I thought I was doing well this whole time. And I like that. But yeah, that's his thing. It doesn't really go much beyond that. I'm not sure if you need it for just the single movie. Yeah. Because also I don't think a lot of people, I never read the Odyssey. I didn't have to read it in school. I did buy one of the adaptations, one of the translations that were brought up in the New York Times. So I'll get to that eventually. I'm reading Salem's Lot right now. So we're knee deep and we're ass deep all the way in Stephen King world. But Yeah, it's a Nolan like adaptation, but that's what it should be, right? You know, it's his take on it. So
Yeah, as long as you don't go as far as, the Wuthering Heights thing, which is not Wuthering Heights, Like
yeah,
I can't defend Fennel. I like Fennel. I can't defend her on Wuthering Heights. It's too
no.
it's not that's not the novel adaptation. That's an entirely different movie. She wanted her own thing. She shouldn't even put based. She just used the IP name. Like, we're not even close to the novel here. I don't know, Nicole, we won't get into the Wuthering Heights thing, but I think Nicole would be in agreement that like that is not Wuthering Heights. So we shouldn't even look at it as
start talking about it because we'll just
so it's not on that extreme level. So yeah, I mean, if we did get like 2 parts, maybe Nolan could have had a little bit more fun, gave Penelope more screen time, given Lupita Nyong'o more screen time. Like, we probably could have had a little bit more fun with it.
But let me ask you though, for Lupita Nyong'o, what else did you need
from Helen of Troy?
Yeah,
I don't know, not to just be like in a. Maybe it's just I just want more of her. Maybe I just think
like
I
get that,
done
but
a
like
lot
in the movie itself, like would more of her matter to his story?
No, not necessarily. That's what I'm saying.
So
but this is Nolan's pure focus for me. Really does feel like it's on Odysseus. He's not worried about the gods. Athena is his conscience, which is not from the epic poem. Like, no, she's a goddess who like admires Odysseus's ability to be smart and clever or whatever. So like we're not getting into any of that in Nolan.
I've heard a lot of different takes on this with her. Is Zendaya actually Hera? Or I mean, she is, but Athena? She also doesn't say almost Athena. Sorry, but she doesn't say almost anything. But she is Athena. But there could have been a little more. That's where I say, like, if you want all that other stuff, you need more than one movie.
Yes, you're right in that. And that's I think Nolan's focus is on telling his version of Odysseus's story. So
okay,
but
so like for like normies like me, it'd be like if we did Lord of the Rings, but only stayed with Frodo the whole time.
Yeah.
Okay.
It feels like that because he's not exploring like Cersei at all. He's not exploring any of the gods or goddesses, and they have much bigger roles and things to do, and personalities.
Now, let me ask you on that again, though. Do you think that? And again, this goes towards the movie that he's trying to make. I don't think Zeus showing up helps that movie. I don't think.
No, it won't. It wouldn't fit in this adaptation. Yeah, that's the thing. Yeah. It wouldn't. That's why I just set it aside.
On that basis, did there was like, if you're just taking it as like his film and not what you were hoping maybe it was,
mm-hmm.
did you enjoy that, or you can't separate the two?
No, I think I can separate it because when I watched the first time around, I enjoyed it. I mean, I did feel like there's some, again, like heart missing. So maybe, it needed a little bit more, like the periphery characters need to be less periphery at times, maybe. But that's why I want to see it a second time, because I wonder, I am thinking, was I too harsh on it from the perspective of this is the Odyssey? And I wonder if I can now go into it a second time being like, this is Nolan's telling of the Odyssey, and it's a focus on the character of Odysseus.
It's just Odysseus. Okay. Yeah, it's his like emotional journey.
Yeah.
It's almost like as much about these periphery characters as he does.
Well, he should know a little bit more about Penelope, his wife.
Penelope and Charlize Theron. Well, I guess technically not if he keeps forgetting his memory. If he keeps losing his memory, then you wonder, like, how much does he remember? But I did, though. I enjoyed it. I found also I had a lot of trouble in Tenet understanding dialogue, like said dialogue. I did not have that issue here. And being that I was not familiar with the book, and they started naming each other, and I was like, fuck, I'm going to have to not only remember like the Greek character names, but I'm going to have to make it out. Like who said what and what name came up. And there was a moment of, this is not going to go well for me in like the first 5 minutes of the movie.
I think,
but then I had no problem.
There was a moment where it was kind of like that, like, squinting my ears, so to speak.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh
Yeah.
no, is this going to be another Nolan? I don't know what the hell they're saying.
Yeah.
Luckily, it was not. Yes, I think
It's like when you would drive in the car
same.
with your parents, and once you started getting home, your father would turn the radio down lower. Like that was going to make the
Everybody
approach
go to
to the
sleep.
driveway easier. I never understood. Like, I do that now, though, also. I'm like, oh, I'm getting home. I should turn this down a little
Easier
bit.
transition. Just a nice little
Yeah.
fade out when you get in the
It's
driveway.
silliness.
And
Oh,
scene.
wait. Okay. I don't know. Odyssey, good, right? I mean,
Yeah. Yes.
I want to throw something at both of you, Ash and Nicole. Today was announced, or yesterday, it doesn't matter, was announced that at Halloween Horror Nights, there's going to be a walk-around character, a new walk-around character, everyone's favorite movie. It's going to be Nikki from Obsession. So
That's a walk around character? Were they going to have her in like vomit shirt? Like,
okay, so this is where I'm at with that. When I heard that, I was like, okay, well, my assumption would be it's when she's got like just the bloody eye and like we stop there, we don't go further. She won't be wearing the other girl's skin and her hair and stuff. And I'm sure we won't have that. But like, it's not like she's a final girl, in a horror film. She's not the heroine of the film because there is no hero really in that movie. And during the entire movie, she is essentially a character of abuse. She's a victim of abuse.
yeah.
So I'm supposed to be like selfie. Like I don't get it. It's weird. I feel like it's a really weird thing. So I wanted to get your guys' reaction to that. Also keep in mind, these shows. This will be in Hollywood, so I'm not sure. I'm sure it's gone through the same thing. But as they've introduced, younger stuff, younger AIM stuff, Stranger Things, Fortnite is coming to a scare zone here in Orlando. There's been a lot younger of a crowd. Last year, they had Art the Clown going around as a walk-around character.
Who's
After
Art
like
the
a
Clown?
week from Terrifier.
Okay.
Okay, so he's like the murderer, like that.
Yeah.
They had to change the way that he was interacting, being led through the crowd because people got too handsy and they got out of control.
Yeah.
Now they're going to have, you would assume, a rather attractive woman who everyone is going to be yelling, oh my God, do you love me? Tell me you love me the most. Like all that type of weird shit, and taking photos with them and them having her within hand touch. I don't
That
know.
sounds
I
like
just
a
feel
recipe for disaster unless you're going to give like some kind of like PSA of like respect the I mean, isn't that already
Never
a thing,
matters.
though? Yeah.
There is, but it never matters.
Yeah.
I just thought that was an odd choice. So, Nicole, would you want to stop Nikki and get a selfie?
No, and it very much feels like like it just feels like it's like, okay, how can we keep this going? Like it's the exact opposite of what we're supposed to be taking from the movie. So it does feel inherently gross.
Yeah.
And as you mentioned, like with Art the Clown from Terrifier, I remember seeing that the people were just getting way too aggressive with their handling. So exactly what you said, I don't think that this is going to end well. And I also I don't know how anybody could think that that wouldn't happen. Like these thoughts that are coming to you right away is like hearing it is like, yeah. So I also think that they probably just don't care very much and they'll, see what happens kind of. And then just throw the performer in there. So I'm not happy with that news. I think that sounds like a terrible idea.
And then who are they going to keep around her to like? I mean, if you give her like
they'll have handlers. They'll always have handlers. But it's when then people want the photo and stuff and all that. So yeah, like originally Art was out in the crowd and on his tricycle and taking photos and stuff, and then a couple of days later, he was on the other side of the ropes and he didn't come into the crowd. Yeah. I think they if I remember correctly, they eased him back in maybe as the thing went on. But yeah, I think it's such a strange, this was my equal to. It'd be like, what was her name? Sally? It'd be like the final girl from the original Texas Chainsaw Massacre, but at the end, when she's like having a mental breakdown and just screaming, like, would you do a meet and greet with that character where she's just shivering and screaming and stuff?
No.
But they kind of are doing that with this.
Yeah, that seems like they're just trying to pull on the younger crowd.
Yeah.
That seems
that
like
poor actress. Whoever does it, they're gonna have to do that fucking. They're gonna have to do the mope face.
Yeah,
like
and the
for hours at a time.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll be watching that with curiosity.
But so yeah, back to Greek mythology and Hadestown. Man, I love this show so much. I thought they did such a phenomenal job with shooting the musical. There were scenes that I thought if you plop them in a movie version, like a cinematic version, would work. You would not know this is the stage and this is a musical, live musical on stage occurring right now. But I mean, I loved my Broadway version, but to see the original cast, Pete and I actually saw it together. So we didn't get to see the original cast. We saw it, I don't know, like I'm trying to remember the run. Yeah. And it was so great to see the original cast. I fell in love with the musical through the original cast, through the original soundtrack. And so I was even nervous when we went to go see the Broadway show, because I was like, what if they're not as good as the originals? Like, what if I don't like them as much? Like, what if I don't enjoy this show? I also am a bit like, I think Orpheus, Reeve Carney's Orpheus, he hits the notes so easily, goes up. I think he is a perfect Orpheus. Obviously, he's the OG. They all are the perfect. In my opinion, I think that these guys are the perfect casting performance of this musical, for this musical. Still loved the Broadway show, was amazing. Our Hades had like so much charisma.
Our Hades was cool.
Yeah. So
you knew that man had a large penis.
That's how he strolled around.
Yeah.
That's how he prowled around the stage.
Yeah.
So there's one thing I think that I would have changed, but otherwise I can't wait for this to come to, I think it's supposed to come to Apple TV in a few months, and I will be watching this like it's my religion on Sundays. So what were you guys' feelings?
I loved it. I mean, I don't want to say, because it feels kind of blasphemous, because like I do love theater. I almost feel like I enjoyed my experience more seeing it as a movie, but I don't know if, and I really don't want to say that, but I am going to say that. And I think it's a completely different experience that you can have. And I really did love the choices that they made and how they're able to use the camera and all that stuff that you're able to see. Like seeing Hades trying to not cry, like Orpheus is singing his song. When they are using the platform that goes through the stage, and sometimes we have it from down there, sometimes from above. It felt very purposeful. And I actually yesterday watched Merrily. Why am I Merrily we roll along? I feel like Merrily we come along. Merrily we go along.
We roll along, yeah.
Yeah. Oh my God.
You still get the one word. You know what? It's a long title.
It's a lot of words, Miss Sondheim. So that I listened to you guys when you were talking about it, and Pete, I remember you saying too, like, just like pull back. And I felt like there was like a really great balance, and that there was the way that they were playing with the audience, so that you did feel like you were saying, Ash, like there's stuff that could fit into if it was an actual movie. But that I was then always coming back to and being aware of, no, this is like in the theater. So I feel like they were perfectly able to have both, like the energy that you get from the theater, which is supposed to be, makes it unique and different from anything else, and then immediacy, but then them finding the moments where they use their shots, where they have someone in the background, like Persephone, like Amber Gray, and seeing her, like little acting moments that obviously, like, unless you're in the front row, you're not going to be able to see in a theater. that's what you're missing out on. And I felt like emotionally too, and it was because of the cast, but I connected with it a lot more. I really enjoyed it when I saw it on Broadway, but seeing it with this cast and the way that they were able to tell the story, it moved me more than when I first saw it. And I felt like the people that I saw it with in the theater too, I think we saw it like 10:30 in the morning before it like was out of the theater, because they kept kind of like extending it a little bit. And also there were 3 moments where the sound cut out completely. And there were 2 people in my theater with me that I could like, they're like, oh, like this is their show. And every time that happened, they were like, no, like they would yell aloud.
God.
But then everyone, we all did clapped at the end. But I could see, like, I kind of glanced around and everyone looked just like absolutely riveted, like watching it as a movie. Beautifully, nobody was on their phone, like it was a very nice experience. So I thought it was great. And thinking about other pro shots that I've seen, it might be one of my favorite ones. I did like Merrily We Roll Along. I then was watching again. I don't know if you guys have ever seen Passing Strange. Was a show in 2008. It was such a good show. It was a short run, but then the pro shot was shot by Spike Lee. And that's an interesting one too. I think you can see falsettos. There's a few of the Sondheim ones. Sunday in the Park with George, the like 80s one with Mandy Patinkin and Bernadette Peters. You can watch that on YouTube. Like there's a lot of them where you can just watch it completely. But I am hoping that this becomes something that is more common. And I know you guys talked about that too when you talked about Merrily We Roll Along. God. Merrily We Roll Along. Like that it does make it accessible for people that maybe are never going to be able to see it and have that experience that you have in a theater. And after I watched it, I did have that thing when you see something in the theater too, we were like, man, the power of music, like I walked out of the theater and I was like, maybe things will be okay. Like there was just something about, and those people together too, maybe because they are the original cast coming back, you could feel that they loved it, that they loved doing it. And it was just, I loved it so much. Like I'm very excited to see it again.
Yeah, I'll whenever it hits like when it's physical 4K, I'll buy it for sure. I had a really good time watching this as someone who enjoys the play a bunch. I thought this did everything right that I didn't like in Merrily We Roll Along. And Patrick Page, I mean, the fact that he had to do the show with the boot that he had to do.
And he had an Achilles. He tore his Achilles.
Yeah, of all the things, right? He's just going for it. I thought it was really, getting to actually see these little moments, but then not exactly what Nicole said is actually what I wrote, like when I did my review. Whenever we pull in close and we get those tight moments, we were balanced out then with, moving the camera back, getting to see the stage, getting to see the audience react. Which then, if you pay a lot of attention to the audience, you know how many nights it took to shoot this thing. But anyways, you're like, that person wasn't there before. But that was a great balancing act that they did to that. The show itself is already so wonderfully lit that it really, really it worked so lovely with filming it because you just had to stick with what was already there. And most of the job was done for you. But the way that they actually had shots that racked focus back and forth between characters and near at there was a shot where Orpheus is in the background and it's small range of focus, but then Hermes' foot like steps into frame and his shoe is in focus. Then you follow him going towards Orpheus. And I was like, oh, we're actually getting to watch a movie, which was great. I just had a really, really a blast with this. And I looked at the director, and the director had previously done, stage shootings of not stage shootings, but shots of like Frozen, Sondheim's Old Friends. He did a Les Mis BBC show. Like he's done a lot of this Newsies. And I do think we're going to continue seeing more of this. Oh, Billy Elliot, I guess he also did. I think we are going to continue seeing more of this because of how much money it made. On the cast, I have a little bit of a theory. The original came out in, 2019, right? Okay. 2019, that show opened. This is now 7 years later. I think Reeve Carney, I think his voice has gotten better. He seemed to have a little more depth possible to his voice than I think is on the original cast recording. And it's because he's 7 years older.
Right.
And I think that his voice has kind of matured a little bit. And at first you would be like, oh, well, I hope that doesn't undo, the childlike tendency or the younger adult tendency of Orpheus. But I actually thought that he was better in this than when I put it up against the cast recording.
To be honest, I even felt that way
nice.
about Ava Noblezada's performance. I don't know, maybe the two of them, just because they are now.
They matured into both their voices a little more since then, I think.
Yeah, and something about the performance, maybe it's me projecting because they are married and in love now.
Yeah.
It's hard not to think about that, yeah.
But it's also, I think that it brought a depth to what they were singing to each other and how they were interacting with each other that I don't know if it just felt different. I was hearing something different. And performance, I guess I couldn't have seen their performance, so I'm not sure. But but performance-wise, like, they were a very believable in love couple to me. And I'll be honest, I wasn't really feeling the love when I saw it on stage between our Orpheus and Eurydice. Like, I don't know. Our Eurydice was acting her ass off, but I don't know.
Our
if
Eurydice,
her
bit in the Wait For Me when she gets the belt at the end.
Yeah.
I apologize. I don't remember the actress's name. She knocked that fucking bit out of the theater. She was incredible in that one. And actually,
Myra Malloy was who we had.
What was it? I'm sorry?
Myra Malloy is who we had for Eurydice.
Towards what Nicole was saying, when I got to the theater, I took a look around and I saw a lot of people. And I texted my friend Walter and I said, brother, I got like 5 people. And it was like 3 neckerchiefs and 4 button vests. I was like, this is going to be a fucking nightmare. Like, these clods are going to sing and I'm going to lose my shit. And he was like, that's why I'm never going to see it. And I was like, all right. So
did they sing?
Against all odds, that place was pin silent during the entire thing. And then they were clapping at the end. It was really impressive. I had not been in a theater that was that centered in. And there's so many very quiet moments in that play where if someone is, whispering and this and that, you're going to hear it. Not a whisper. And this place was filled. And much like Nicole, I think our showing was our showing was later in the afternoon. I thought I told everyone that it was at 11 a.m. It wasn't. It was like 3:30 in the afternoon. But it's okay. We all figured it out. But 3:30 in the afternoon, the place was packed and just nothing. You didn't hear a single person talking the whole time. It was kind of incredible.
Yeah, it seemed like everybody was gripped by it. I mean, ours was a full theater on Sunday night, even at like 7:30.
Oh no! My goodness, yeah.
It was late.
I wouldn't go there on purpose. Good for you.
But it was great. Yeah, everyone was great. I mean, the AC, you heard the knocking of the AC every once in a while.
Sure.
That's how quiet everybody was. There were a couple of times where I think the audience all felt like the need to clap. When Persephone's like, anybody want a drink? And there was like a few claps. Like I could just tell like the audience was all for it. But we were all like, okay, don't clap because we're watching the movie. So like we're not getting any intermission. And so it seemed like the people who were there probably had seen the show. And we were just there for it.
I wonder how many people if I mean it made a lot of how much did it make? I'll look it up. But like I wonder how many people did go see this for the first time
in
in a theater. I mean, it must have been a ton because
Well, it
again,
has
unless
to,
you got
yeah,
yourself to New
like-
York,
Yeah.
it's
I mean,
such
I
a
saw it
small-
in New York, so.
but like what I'm saying is
the
that's such
movie.
a small thing to be able to go see. You know, because you have to be at the right place at the right time, even if there's a traveling one. It only goes to so many cities. So,
That's true.
you know, there must have been so many people who saw it for the first time. And I do have a genuine curiosity. So it looks like it has made $20 million domestically, which for a movie that was supposed to originally come out for like 3 days and that was it.
Mhm.
That's
Yeah, I
a
think that's right.
crazy amount of money. Not everything is Hadestown. You know, the wrong lesson will be learned by somebody, and they'll try to put this, you know, thing. But I like that this is becoming a norm. I think the next one that's going to happen with this from a stage show is Oh Mary, which, yes.
Did I see that 6 is supposed to have one coming out like in August?
It was a trailer for me before Hadestown, yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, you're right. Yes.
Yeah.
That should be interesting.
It
I
did
think
that look good.
Yeah, because I listened to the music of it, and I thought it's fun or whatever. But I think you might need to experience that show as a performance
Well,
to like get a thorough appreciation for it.
well, y'all got 6 days or 4 days before that
It's-
happens because
Oh, okay.
6 is coming out in places August 14th, which is
Oh wow,
yeah, super
that's like
soon.
4 days away. Okay.
Yeah.
I better get on that
So,
and figure that
yeah.
out.
Gotta get on that train real quick.
Well, I also like the fact, though, too, that, and I've seen discussion of this where some people that are like anti-pro shot of things, and they're like, oh, it'll cheapen it, and then people won't want to see it in the theater. That I think it really would have the opposite effect. And there was a pro shot of Falsettos. I don't remember, it was a few years ago now, with Andrew Reynolds. And that showed that like after people were able to see the pro shot, so many people went to go see it then actually. They were like, oh shit, okay. And then they wanted to go see it.
Mhm.
So I love the idea that, like you're saying, I'm sure there are like a crap ton of people that this was their first experience of the show at all and the music. And I think that there's a good chance that a lot of them then will have that moment of like, oh, I want to get to Newark. Like, I want to see it actually, you know, like I want to see it in a theater, which I think is great. And it's sort of like, I don't know. It's just, that's a big thing right now too with theater and Broadway, and obviously how expensive everything is, and ticket sales are down, and people can't access it. So I'm always for it too, because I think that people maybe too also will think like have an idea in their mind of like, I'm not a theater person, or like I'm not into musicals, and or maybe somebody even went with someone that they were like know what it is and they got dragged along or whatever, and then they, you know, I'm sure there are people that walked out like, what is this feeling? Like I was saying, what is this feeling that I'm having? Like, exactly. Like even that, which is like Wicked was obviously a movie, but how many people maybe didn't know Wicked? And then they were like, oh, this is incredible. She, at the end, she's defying gravity. She's singing to us. She's like overcoming. Like I saw like videos of just like random men. They were like, oh, this is great. And I'm like, you're having feelings, you know, like this is a musical. It's a great feeling. But Oh Mary, I love Oh Mary. I think that's also one that I'm so excited to see the choices that they're going to make about filming that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I saw that one with Cola Scola, and then my sister saw it with me, and she saw it again just now with Meg Stalter is playing Mary right now. Betty Gilpin was, I didn't get to see it, but I love Betty Gilpin too. So that's exciting. And 6, I don't know the music, and I have never seen actually in theaters. So there is a chance that if I go see it as a movie, that will be my first experience of it.
Yeah,
so
wow.
I kind of might want to do that then.
I'm definitely going to try, because I think the music's okay to me when I listen to it, but I feel like I need to experience it as the performance to appreciate it. Like Hadestown is one of the few that I listen to the music first. Like I usually don't do that. Like I don't like to listen before I go see the show. Because I know that I think I have a deeper appreciation after I watch the performance, and I can appreciate the music that way. And then afterwards, I've got all the catchy stuff in my head and the whole. But Hadestown, I didn't know when I was gonna see it. I found it very appealing. It's like, right, it checks all my boxes of what I want from a story and music and a show and all that. And so I listened to it, and I haven't stopped listening to it for the last 2 years. I can't, I'm obsessed, and it moves me more than anything else in the world. But I don't think that's not the norm. That's not my normal reaction to listening to the music first of musicals. So I think I need to do that for 6. But I haven't lived in the area of the tri-state area in over a decade or something like that. So the only time I'm seeing a show is I'm booking a trip. It's a purposeful, I'm going to go see the show. So I've been trying out, the new musicals. I listened to The Great Gatsby because I was like, oh, I want to hear Eva Noble Zada do this. And I listened to The Heathers and 6, but none of them really stuck with me. I didn't want to listen again, except for Hadestown. But I've been doing that just because I'm I don't ever know when I'm going to go see this show. So yeah, you're saying, it is nice now that, hey, we're getting these pro shots of them. And it seems well, I don't know. I didn't really appreciate the Merrily We Roll Along pro shot. It was very close, everybody was saying.
But at least we have it.
It was just cutting. But at least it's there. Yeah. If you
at
want
least
to
it's there.
it. Yeah.
Because, that trip that you're talking about to go to New York, unless you're also in the Northeast, that's $1,000 plus trip to go see a 2-3 hour show that you may not enjoy. Mm-hmm. That is a fucking, no one's taking that roll of the dice. So for the people who are oh, if they do this, people won't go to the theater. Mate, they were not going before. They may now. Mm-hmm. They may now because they have a little bit of insurance of well, hey, I'm going to go see this thing that I really like. And actually, Ash, I'm the opposite of you. I've gotten into the habit over in my life of I do listen to the music before I go to the musical, same as I read the play before I go see a play. But my reasoning is this. I have some weird hearing issues sometimes. When choruses are singing live in front of me, multiple people at once, I may not be able to make out what they're saying. And so I have to have that knowledge beforehand, or I'm going to say, what the fuck are all these French people yelling about, in Les Mis, or anything.
It's just a loaf of bread. That's all.
Anything for Andrew Lloyd Webber, because 6 people have to be singing at the same time for some goddamn reason. So that's why I've gotten into the habit of that. And I just love the idea that something that would have never gotten to, I couldn't tell you how many thousands of people, they just got to check it out. And for all you know, one of those people is your next, whatever, Reeve Carney or something. They may have just never been, they would have not had the opportunity to be exposed to this stuff.
Yeah.
Unless it's for things like this. And so, make that net wider. Broadway doesn't have to only be the only Broadway. Chicago exists, and you have traveling shows. There's a lot more area that you could fill in to do this kind of stuff. And it's really wild now seeing, so many shows go from Broadway to the West End. I always feel like it was the other way around or something like that usually. But now you're having the US casts go over there. And actually, if you haven't noticed, they also filmed them over there. I'm assuming because it's way cheaper than trying to film in New York. But I don't know how much cheaper. I don't know why that works out that way. But that's been a little bit of a pattern as well. So yeah, man, I hope it gets a physical release. That's, my big thing, is I hope it actually gets a physical release and be able to just watch it at home without having to pay forever for a rental.
Yeah.
So we'll see how that goes.
I don't know. I don't have a lot of, do they have a Hamilton 4K?
Yeah.
They do?
Yep.
Okay. Well, maybe.
They do.
Then maybe.
It just came out a month ago. And it's stupidly priced. Yeah. But it is out. Yeah. And
Yeah.
I mean, they've put out discs for, Phantom when it was the live anniversary show with Sarah Bogus. I don't know if I'm saying her last name correctly. Les Mis obviously has had a couple of concert ones filmed. Sweeney Todd. They have one film that was with, oh my God, British actress,
Emma Thompson.
English Patient, Emma Thompson. Thank you. So, they're out there, but not, some of them get physical releases. Some of them don't,
I think Hadestown is popular enough.
I think it's a
that
layup. I think they'll get that one.
Yeah.
I think we will get that one. It might take a little while after whatever exclusivity maybe Apple TV has over it. But once that's good, I'm pretty sure we'll see it.
My one thing that I didn't absolutely love, is I find it strange that they don't consider the Fates that they needed the original. I think they're such a crucial part of the cast that I don't know how they don't consider the Fates as main cast. Because I mean, I checked even my play bill for the show, and they don't put the Fates in like the main cast, and I think that's strange because I think they're such an integral part of the show. So I was a little disappointed that it wasn't the original Fates in this pro shot, because I think that the original ones knock it out of the park, and I don't know if I felt the same way about these guys, the London version of them. And I don't have a problem with the Brits. Okay, you can hear their British accents.
Women.
It's not.
You have a problem with the 3 women in the play. It's wild.
But I don't know. I didn't love these Fates, and no knock to them. Like they're good, but I wanted the OGs. I did.
It could have been availability. I don't really know.
Probably,
it could have been availability. It could have been a number of different factors. So this actually came up a little bit ago. I was talking with a friend of mine, and she had told me that originally there was no Hermes in the play. It was the Fates who were more of the narrators, which I don't know. I'm assuming she's correct. And she was like, oh, well, now I feel like the Fates are kind of, they're not really needed in the play, which I disagree with because they're the antagonists.
Yeah, no, you need that.
Even more so than Hades. Like, they're the antagonists.
They're in Hades' ear.
Yeah. So I understand, like, it's good that they're not the narrator, because I would be being told the story by the person who is the people who are outwardly trying to ruin
so they're
my
unreliable.
2 leads.
Yeah.
And they succeed. So it's just too much down. Like, that's way too many, like, arrows in the chest in a tragedy as it is. So getting Hermes in there really changes the mood of everything, because he's sympathetic towards our characters. And without that, we really wouldn't have anybody to bounce off of directly with that outside of Persephone. And I don't think that would be enough. So
yeah. And Andre
I think
DeShields is
he's so good.
He's so good. He's every
so good.
Freaking way he says, every line delivery is amazing. So yeah, but that was my only thing. But totally great. Otherwise, no issues. 10 out of 10. Obsessed.
Yeah.
Anyone have any other finishing thoughts about all of our coverage?
I don't know how Patrick Page hits that foghorn bottom note.
He seems to be the only one who could do it.
I can sing along with 95% of what he does, but then when he gets that, can't do it. Even his I missed you. It's like it's 3 levels lower than what even I can consider doing. I hope one day that he somehow gets roped into doing Disney on Broadway over at Epcot, because he did originate Scar in Lion King.
Oh.
So he could do Scar, and he could do Frollo songs because he voiced him in the movie. So that's our in for Patrick Page, because you have to have played somebody in a Disney play on Broadway. So, but he originated Scar, so that would be the gateway for that. And man, I would love to see that. That'd be wild.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, because I remember going to the show, I'm like, well, we're not going to get a Hades that can hit those notes. Like, I don't think that's a thing that's normal. I don't know, like, even on Broadway, I don't think that you can pick that kind of person. I really do think he's like a one of a kind. You're not getting him again. Yeah. So I was very impressed with our Hades, that he made up for it in mannerism and charisma. But yeah, so thanks all for listening. I think we'll wrap it there. We had a plan for something next week. I don't know. I changed it. Because we missed a week, and then it doesn't matter. So we'll figure it out. You'll find out when it's up, because that's how it's going to go from now on. All right. Stay curious. Thanks for listening. Bye.
Bye.